Well, wouldn't be too much of a shocker. And after not getting a free gamer in the first series, I just hope that this one won't let us down, Valdez. I have my hopes up.
DK wouldn't let us down like that. They'll definitely win game 1 and then throw game 2. It's just the way it goes.
That's how it goes.
Against pretty much any team. T1 are no different. And there's Callista, there's Vi. Will we see a Scion ban? Jace going to get banned.
Gwen is still up.
Yeah, I think you gotta ban the Gwen. Although Rumble is available.
I don't know if you do.
Maybe you don't.
Maybe you don't ban Gwen.
I feel like my initial reaction is like, well, that's really strong, you should ban it. But if you leave both available, well, maybe then Doran plays Rumble, and then you go Aurora. I mean, there's a lot of different ways, or maybe you play Anivia, right? Or you just ban the Gwen instead. That's also an option.
Still going to take out the Gwen. Azir is a notable pick that is still open.
Varus.
Varus is another. Callista has been taken away, unlike last game where we did see her get swept up, but it is just Azir. Nothing too surprising there. Faker has been performing quite well. There are obviously a lot of picks you can go into this. Talia, I think, is most likely. So, Rumble, Talia, and then at some point just find something AD for Lucid. With a decent amount of picks already taken away. Still don't think he'd be too bad. Maybe you go for the Rumble. You can also go Yone, so you can go Rumble, Yone here on 1-2 and then kind of see what Oner picks. When it comes to jungle, you can pick up Pantheon as well. DK have liked that, but yeah. Pantheon is not the best of the best. Sejuani is another. Poppy is one that Oner might gravitate towards with that Azir.
Yeah.
A lot of picks here.
You don't have to pick the Talia here. I do think that's a good option into the Azir, but you can just pick Nefiri here and then go for Talia next. Or Ahri. Or you just take the Varus. I mean, that's still up for grabs, so aiming says, well, I'll just play a game of Varus.
We did see Poppy be used with great effect by Peanut, was it, into Humbug?
Yeah.
That was slaughter. Okay, that matchup is also a
Peanut
slaughter.
Peanut just feasts on junglers.
I know that. But still, I think Poppy definitely an angle, also good into the Azir. So Jane comes out from Guma, one of his most iconic picks. Great neutralizer into matchups like the Varus. So either we pick a jungler for... I like this a lot more because Lucid has shown that his champion pool is actually very resilient. Compared to last year where it felt like he was a lot more tied to specific picks. Even one of the few junglers that has consistently picked Ivern and been able to make it work. Obviously also requires the team to play around it, but is kind of a signal to his diversity being up. Talia is one of the best picks on the patch at the moment. It's really good into the Azir, so kind of a no-brainer there.
Galio comes out as the ban. I wonder if they're going to ban, like, Aurora or Anivia. Like, you can't ban them all. I feel like our teams are beginning to figure out more and more counters to the Rumble in lane.
Feldas, if it's Doran and Anivia, I think you take that. I think that's okay.
Yeah, I kind of agree, unfortunately. Also, part of that is that Doran hasn't played it yet. Yeah. It's unproven, you know.
But Doran's form is really interesting to me because for all of his flaws, I feel like right now he's underperforming to the level he's had for 3 years, right? Which is a big deal because ever since 2022, he's been a top-tier top laner within the LCK. And right now, I don't feel like he's hitting that, and I hope that he gets back to that level because then we'd have like 5 amazing top laners between Zeus and Keen and Shiu and Kingen, who's now really had a big glow up as well. As the Bard is taken away instead. Is a classic.
Yeah, Jhin Bard, Keria's Bard.
Actually, I'm looking at these first 3. I don't. Yeah, playing at a Bard sounds like a nightmare. No one gets out.
Just die.
Oh, just Skarner.
Just Skarner.
It's good. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a lot of ways to punish guys that are going to look to go in. Thinking about an Ornn here for the top lane. That's a choice.
Keria, I know you've been playing this. I know you've been playing this, Keria, but you cannot blind that. Cannot blind. Okay, good. Can't blind Nidalee. Well, you know what? I thought the Nidalee into Jace wasn't going to be a complete stomp, but then it was. So, what do I know? What is Barrel's pick going to be here? Unless we're doing some really weird flexing, which I don't think is going to be the case.
Way obviously here.
Well, he is playing into Nico, so he might have something.
Or Renata?
Braum. Braum into Oren always feels good. Braum into Jhin feels good.
Just a barrel classic.
That's the barrel classic. Just gonna pick his Leona.
Yeah.
It really makes sense, right? The only downside I see is that the Mercs value will skyrocket. Oh, I thought I saw at the top there was like the T1 fan and the DPLUS fan, and they're sitting side by side and
maybe
rooting for a different team.
Could be the classic. Had a lot of classics today. Well, let's see how it's gonna work here on the Rift for game number 1.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
All right, game number 1 of our second series tonight. Curious to see T1's form today and how well DK can take this one down, or if they do at all.
Ooh, aiming going for Common, so looks like he's going lethality instead. Will make him a bigger threat towards the rest of T1, so it makes sense from that perspective, but does even more so, I think, ties them to trying to perform as much and as well as they can in the early game. And not worry too much about what will happen if we scale into the later parts. Looking at rune setups outside of that, nothing too surprising here. Doran going for Grasp, I think, is pretty optimistic into Rumble, because early on you're not going to be able to really stack that.
Yeah, interesting choice. But if you do take a lot of trades, at least you'll be getting a decent amount of stacks, but your trades not as strong. So Barrel went in onto the Nico level 1. And it doesn't look like they lost any XP or anything, but they're definitely going to get pushed in by this lane. When you see the Nico and the Jhin and you pick Leona,
you know.
This is what you expect.
Yeah, you know. With DK, really think they're playing for early and mid-game fights. He'll have decent team fighting as well, right? My main issue is just that I think eventually, unless you really set the Ornn behind, it becomes hard to chew through if it just itemizes pure MR, which I feel like he should. But mid-game, that's not going to be nearly as much of a consideration. Also, the dragons we have to take into account is a lot of minions being lost here, so Gumayusi and Keria can be feeling good. But as you mentioned, you're playing a matchup that I think particularly pre-6 is always going to be very, very tough to play through for the Varus and the Leona, and then post-6, at least they get some all-in windows, which right now aren't really a thing.
Yeah. Ornn in the past, when we didn't have the current meta, definitely was played a decent amount into Rumble, just because, you know, he's Ornn. He does kind of everything, especially in the past, but he can soak a lot of the pressure, can take decent trades as well, as long as it's not at the wrong time when Rumble's overheated and you're taking a bunch of damage. So I am curious to see how Doran does play out that lane. Definitely going to be important. Su did get a pentakill on Rumble the last time out, which has been highlighted in our in-between game content. And, you know, we were expecting when T1 had Gumayusi and Keria and they were a solid duo and the lane swap meta was removed, right? We expected this duo to be very strong in the 2v2.
Yeah.
I feel like right now they are showing that. They're able to do it, you know, partly matchup, but also partly just doing a good job, these two.
Oh, are they going to spot Lucid? Will at the end there, and with the health bars aiming, and Barrel don't really see an opportunity to make a play. Also, they knew, right? Because Oner took topside crap, they had pretty good vision there, so if he's not there, spotted there, kind of know what's going on, is faking a back and instead going for the shove in here. Will be able to maybe deny a little bit. We'll see if Barrel gets to catch this wave, because they do really want to look for a buy. Looks like Barrel should be able to at least keep the range mains, but Keria doing a good job and forcing him to go for the crash. As unsurprisingly, Doran, his job is to just get beaten down and then go back up, come back up, and then get beaten down again.
Yeah, that's what he's there for.
That's Ornn.
Yeah, I thought maybe we were going to see Sion at some point, but I think you got to give Shu credit as well, that he could potentially play something that could counter it. But instead we get the Ornn here, especially with the Rumble shown already.
Ooh.
Makes a lot of sense.
So DK not going with this crash as Shield getting his base cancelled is a little annoying, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to go for a TP anyway. Doesn't look like DK wants to match, so they want to, I assume, play towards Dragon. We do have Barrel towards the mid half of the map, and no, it looks like instead they're going for a later swap. And this is not getting shoved in very quickly here by T1. I think we're... Oh, no, never mind. We're having some question mark ping there. Some anticipation and
DPLUS
questions going on. Well, I'm fine with them not playing for grubs.
Sure. It's just the back and forth that it's like, okay, we're not on the same page. There was a ward in the middle of the lane, by the way, that spotted the Varus there very late, even after he pushed the lane in, so T1 know ahead of time that this is happening, but they want to go for the 2v2 here, actually, as Barrel coming in, and so is Lucid. Guma in a bit of trouble. He does have the cleanse and the flash, but now going to get stunned down. There's the cleanse, but you just can't get away from the Rumble, as it is a very nice gank set up here by DPLUS. Oner does come up, gets stunned, but Barrel is in a rough spot himself, so they do trade it back eventually, right?
He's dead.
Yeah, okay. Eventually, okay, they almost give the kill over a Faker, actually, which would have been nice. But Oner does pick it up.
Interesting sequence there. You'll take that trade if you are DK. It's aiming also forced to flash. And Doran's ult is on cooldown, so my guess is that 1-1 makes 2. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that while this was happening, which is definitely suboptimal. So they trade 1-for-1, but the grubs go to T1. There wasn't really any cross map. This should be a good angle for a dive, though. He's already aggroed on the turret, but I think it's fine.
Oh, well, they kind of just juggle the Ornn in between the turret, and Doran is going to go in onto Showmaker, and now he flashes, which... you're already dead, so you're not going to get away anyway. Just wasting his flash, and now trying to flash in is Keria. That was never going to be a kill either. Maybe didn't know Barrel was there, but either way, kind of a funny scenario that they do find themselves in. So kill goes over to DPLUS, and maybe they do the Dragon, but nah, we're going to back away.
Not the cleanest sequence of plays I've seen there on either side. As we take another look, so we go back here first. I think they thought Barrel had already moved down, so they think that this is at worst a 2v3 or 2v2 because they do have Oner towards the top side of the map. But Guma, this was a problem for him in the previous series as well, overextended, trying to exert his pressure a little bit too much. And then trading for Barrel is nice, but this is still a lot of resources that the Jhin will not be able to get. Just Oner does pick it up. I think Oner getting kills on the Fairy is fine because it is one of the strongest snowballing. And then here it starts off really well because he gets the flick. I think Doran thought he was out, and because of that CC layering, Doran doesn't get to. I don't even know if he had it, but he doesn't get to use the W to negate it. This flash though, no idea. You're not like, I know Keria's there,
and then they're not even going to show the Keria.
Yeah,
flash.
the Keria flash. If Doran had his ult, you know, he did get the flash for aiming, but if Doran had his ult, he might have lived there. Unfortunately, aiming won't have his flash for this fight.
This is going in directly on the Guma, but that is pretty deep. Keria zoning with the Pop Blossom as Lucid getting incredibly low. He will be punished for going that deep, but they do trade it back onto the enemy jungler. Now trying to take down Showmaker, but it's not exactly working out. They finally take down Barrel, and now Showmaker 1v3, but Faker dashes over the rocks and aiming nearly full health. He's going to take a big chunk, but now DK immediately turn it around as they go way too deep for that one, and they get punished immediately by DK.
You could have left! T1, just leave! You got the Dragon. You got a nice kill onto Lucid.
How do we still not know what Talia does?
Just, I don't.
Maybe you thought the rocks were going to expire?
Yeah, so the rocks are down here, so I assume he just didn't expect it to be up already. Because when he goes for this play, just watch this. The timing is actually quite crispier from Showmaker. There you go, just the last second, and because of that, the play doesn't work. But even if that flick does work, like aiming is just, I know he's not on hit Varus, but in these longer fights, once a kill comes through, he gets his passive, he gets so much free attack speed. As he gets multiple blight stacks, he's still going to be doing a lot as a counter. turn on Barrel.
Yeah, trying to go on a Barrel here. I think Barrel is just dead. 1v3.
Yeah.
He's going to start clearing the wave.
Hey, he warded.
Yeah, nice.
He gets value. Good stuff.
Okay, they finally killed the Leona.
At the fleet.
Nice.
Fine. So the skirmish goes to DK, the dragon goes to T1. Depending on how a lot of the next 10-15 minutes go, that can
It's gonna be a
either
hex
feel
deck,
great.
isn't it?
It might be. I'm okay with that. I don't mind
I'm
it.
fine with that.
If it's Infernal, Infernal would be cool, because I think Infernal will solve some of the issues that DK will have when it comes to eventually, like on a long enough time frame. I do think they can cut through Ornn, because you have pretty good shredders, right? You have percentage health on the Rumble Q, you have Taliyah who's going to go, I assume, for Leandries. We'll have to see. Early lead though for DK, I think is definitely what they're aiming for. Barrel also has been the biggest amount of deaths on DK, and I think that's also where you want to be. That's kind of the sweet spot. And Ornn is just trucking along. You know,
He's not using the trucker skin though.
he is, and that's true, which that actually is a big mistake by Doran, and I'm a little upset about that. But the thing I always look towards is staying even in XP. And he's still behind, but obviously did die once due to the dive. Because XP for me is the biggest thing. When you can start giving out your ornaments, so much value is given. W is used by Oner.
Yeah, he does back away. It's a bit of a fight for the grubs, but I think, you know, you've got Dorn and bot. He does have TP, but a fight doesn't really break out. T1 don't want to go in on the grub fight, so they just back away.
The Showmaker, they're going to just accept. This is something that DK in particular do, and Showmaker does this more than almost any other mid. That one's called fishing for cleanse. He didn't hit. Because Showmaker loves dropping waves to go for objectives. We see particularly against Genji, this becomes a huge issue. Because if you drop like 3 waves, then Chovy suddenly is up 40 CS. Which is not
he's creating minions in the bottom lane by himself.
He is a conjurer. Certainly is. For T1 though, I don't think you're too bothered with the way that the early game is going, because your mid to late game fights are great. His Oner takes a bit of a beating, but should be okay.
Yeah, not able to clear the ward, and does use a bit of time to do that.
That's Mercs, so he's
a Merc value.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. Leona on the mid team, good amount of non-knock-up CC as well.
Yeah, so decent amount of action early on.
It's fine.
It's been a lot of skirmishing around the top lane when the top laners were there, and also when they weren't.
Which I do appreciate. You know, it's just area consistency thing.
Yeah.
DK do really want to fight for this second Drake. I think the fights from DK thus far looks a little better. So we'll see how that's going to go when this next one kicks off as Banana Brush control. Lucid trying to get that. Should be able to here. Crab control though.
I mean, is Oner really going to get in on that? Looks like no. Shu makes his way up from bot lane and secures it for the team. It looks like we might just have a 5v5 on the streak. Really depends on how hard these two teams do want to commit for this objective. But with it being a good Drake soul coming up, pretty much guaranteed at this point, you definitely want to make sure you get one. You could do the Nongshin thing where you really skirt on the edge of like, oh, we'll just give all the Drakes but never give the soul. It will give them 3 but not 4 the entire series. It is an option you have, but I'm not sure that DK is the same team. They're not playing against the same type of team. So, should try to go for this Drake.
That's also one of the things that I think is most interesting about this current T1 roster is we don't really know what their identity is yet, right? And we spent so much time with the same roster that was just honing a very specific playstyle that they were able to just continuously iterate upon. And I feel like right now we're still kind of in limbo. Like, what does this team want to be? What do they want to play towards? How do they want to play? In this game, play for late game. You have Ornn, you have Azir. I think even the Fairy is quite of a late game Fred.
Even the Jhin, like
it's fine.
with the current builds, you know, where you go like IE third, I've been seeing that a lot. It feels like he actually does have a decent amount of damage. He's not always just running around dropping his bullets doing nothing.
It's not just Mosquito Jhin.
Actually does a healthy amount of damage, I'd say, in the current iteration of the game, with the current build that we see very often. So I don't mind it. You know, I think they do have a lot of threats later on, and especially you're going up into Lethality Varus, who also has decent late game damage, but isn't like the most scaly kind of guy. A little 1v1 here. Cleanse does come out, and that's Fishing for Cleanse version 2.
This time it works though. Aiming also doesn't get hit by the bouncing grenade, so nice. Nice done there, because now Barrel can wave his ult, just force a flash out of Guma. He needs to be careful. Yeah, I do think that, I forgot which patch it was exactly, but it was a patch like, I want to say 5, 6 patches ago where they changed Lethality Varus, and I do think he's much more of a threat now, as Faker just going to get his turret, and leaving the game is basically even. And what makes this game really interesting to me is that, as mentioned, I give T1 the edge in scaling. I also think that the range with the Jhin and the Azir in particular is really nice, but the front to back for DK is also still great. And the amount of team fight AoE damage they have between the Taliyah, the Rumble, is kind of crazy. And trying to play even Ornn into Taliyah, I think is actually so annoying. Because whenever you ult, if you're doing it too close, right, you can just block it either with the W or with the E. See how DK can play around that, but clearly either team is saying, we skill, just relax, just chill.
Yeah, both of them just sitting around. Neither team going for the Chemtech Drake either. It felt like a little bit of a standoff, a bit of a stalemate over that Drake, where both teams were setting up vision around it, but nobody got a clear advantage, so they were both like, well, we don't want to take a risk on it, so we'll just leave it.
Risk-averse gaming in my LCK.
Yeah, very different from the first series, which was, well, risk enjoyers.
Well, they were just risk ignorers. Risk isn't real, Valdez.
Yeah.
As an early TP, maybe they'll just take the TP and let you go for the turret. We'll see. Looks like they're still posturing. Might be looking for a TP angle here.
Yeah, I think it's going to go onto that control ward right there. He's getting his bar ready, but still a bit of time, so he'll be able to push a wave in first. Still doesn't have to, as you mentioned before. There's the wall. Lucid in next to the Rift Herald as Doran going to get stunned up. There's the smite going to Lucid. They get it. A nice ult comes in from Doran. The follow-up a little bit late, but now Lucid in a rough spot as down will go Showmaker, down will go Lucid, and now the ult goes in on Aiming, who actually does survive for quite a while on Xiu, doing a decent job of zoning away. T1 can't quite put the nail in the coffin, but they did get a couple of kills and win the fight at least.
I also don't think I'm not sure if DK got the eye. Maybe they did in the end.
I don't think so.
If Lucid doesn't hit that wall slam onto Keria, that fight is a complete disaster. T1 actually playing really nicely with the range there. Coming in from multiple angles. Yes, Doran dies, but he's kind of the ideal target to go down anyway. And there you can see, confirmed, not actually going to see that eye picked up. So really big win for T1. They get bunch of kills. They're able to get the mid lane turret as well. As I want to take another look, so this is a little earlier. If they already have the Rumble here when the wall comes through, I think this fight is a bust. But the barrel ult misses, and then the flash from Doran is really nice. And that slam right there, only reason this fight is even remotely close, because Aiming gets caught by that, it's just immediately game over. Yeah. Still ends up getting effectively taken out of the fight. Still big win for T1. There also wasn't a great way, because of the fact that they've used so many resources on Doran to actually get on top of Guma, who was on Fredden there. T1 is just saying, well, you can have the dragon, we don't really care. You're going to get the full outer ring of turrets, with Faker picking up yet another.
Infernal Solo coming through, and definitely very good with scaling. Probably our best Soul. So we're in this one for the long haul. It's still a relatively even game state, but T1 definitely took a big step into the lead after that fight. So gotta like their chances, you know, with their scaling comp, with Infernal Soul on the Rift. It feels like they are in control of this game right now. There's still threats on the side of DK, obviously, but gotta like their position here. feels pretty good for them at this point in time.
Do agree. We'll see. Knowing DK, we are going to get a crazy Otacon setup as Beryl goes in.
Just baiting out the ult, you know. Just a normal day in the life for Beryl. And now we got, the big impale! Gets him over the wall as well! And that's the end of Oner. And T1, they were in a good spot, but now they're losing 2 as big damage comes out. And the flick on a Faker into the ult from aiming. It is massive for DK, and right before the Otacon spawns.
Oh, according to Beryl's plans, I can hear Atlas yell. He's not even in low bar! As Beryl sets up a tasty bait, and guess what? They fall for it, as this should never ever hit the mark, although Lucy's gonna take it.
Don't even just throw it away! There's no chance you're stealing that as Jin. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, so if the wave was pushed up, or they didn't have Talia or Rumble, that might work. As of course you go in on this, because it's Beryl, and you're like, Beryl, why are you here? But then that knockback, the cone, the action cone, and then the ultimate from Lucid, immediate toaster on top, and just a moment of weakness, costing T1 so much, and then Showmaker, just to ensure that there is no salvaging. I want to hear it.
야, 니코.
Saying Nico.
야, 이거 뿌리면 빠를 수 있어. 라피. 폴. 이거 없어?
No flash. Like, it feels like initially it wasn't his idea to bait them, but he called it so well.
No. We're retconning it.
아니야.
All plan, Velvet.
It might have been in his head. He just didn't say it, right? But actually, his calls afterwards were so clean. Like, he knew exactly that the Nefiri didn't have flash. He knew exactly that they were going to win the fight from the moment he got over the wall. So, credit to him. I was actually impressed by the way he called that. So, you know, for all of our memes, he is still the LoL master for a reason.
Oh.
Classic Beryl.
Classic Beryl was.
Here's a replay. I guess Faker just died. Or maybe they got his flash. Yeah.
Got flash, yeah. That's big though. Aiming still doesn't have his flash for now, so it would have been a much juicier target. As the Otacon, we do see T1. Their wave play was obviously very good. Not playing into Baron, so they can't just sit here kind of let it be, as we do see Doran about a level behind, but has now hit level 13, but it's really 14, 15 that I'm always looking towards, just making sure your teammates also get the benefit, as we do get the TP, and I think that's enough for them.
Yeah, they get Doran's CP. Faker took a bit of damage somewhere, but yeah, I mean, they don't have Baron, so this is kind of what Ox was talking about on the space, where it's like, well, you get Voracious out of Con, and you don't do anything with it. So you don't have to, you know, flip the objective. Now, DK getting it because they won the fight, obviously is good, but they don't get a huge amount of value out of the Otacon buff itself, other than that TP. So, you know, it's marginal, but it's still good for DK.
It's fine.
It's
okay.
Fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's all right.
Third item for aiming.
It is what it is.
Yup. I don't really have a catchphrase like that. I feel like you and Ox, when you call, it's just catchphrases.
Yeah, like that's how we cast.
Yeah, that's
back
being
and forth.
repeated back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think me and Wolf can really claim the phrase "it is what it is," though. You know. That's just.
No, I know.
That's a global one. So now we're fighting over these Infernal Drakes. Otacon buff is gone. No Baron on the Rift yet. So Doran kind of just has to group up, which is fine, but it does potentially delay his level 14. Whew, what you were talking about.
Free levels for aiming here. Or sorry, free items. He has more levels. He's at 13.
He's level 3.
Should be looking at getting Cyrilda's next, which is going to make his damage even more threatening. And you can see Banana Brush control. They're scared to actually go in on Lucid. And they should be, as this might be a make-or-break fight, right? Baron is spawning in about 50 seconds, and T1 calling the bluff, saying if you just fully commit to this dragon, getting an inner is nice. This isn't sole point. It looks like T1 is just going to take that, and I think this is fine.
Yeah, I think it's the right call. It doesn't feel amazing, but you shore up a little bit of your gold deficit, and also you didn't want to push into that because you didn't have any vision control. You didn't have any control over the pit, so you just say, well, we'll take the next best thing, which is the mid turret, right? It's not a... It is what it is.
I'm also not the biggest enjoyer of the collector. I've actually been really enjoying the RFC second, just because it means that you do get so much more mobile and like your effective range goes up so much. Shield does take those away from Oner. Very rude, very mean. 2 item spikes now been hit, hard to hit across the board for DK, except for aiming, who as mentioned is sitting on an extra one. And this game still very much up in the air, which is how we like it. Well, this is all going according to plan.
Yes. Not down to earth, this one. Very much up in the air. It's floating,
Well, it could be
like a balloon.
You can be both up in the air and down to earth.
Yes, technically, but not literally.
Not literally, no, but metaphorically with how those two work out, which is weird. I feel like they should be mutually exclusive.
Should be. They are, literally.
Well, literally.
But not figuratively.
Yes. Yeah, but that's just not consistent. Why aren't they?
That's just the way the English language works.
Fair point.
There's no consistency, really.
Yeah,
Kind of make it up as you
it's
go.
a very silly language.
Blame Mox for that.
Unlike Dutch, which, as we all know, is a
Yeah.
very serious language.
Doran's kind of just being run down by a guy who has Leandries.
There are a lot of people on his way.
It's not a good feel. And I don't know if Doran has
dead.
an answer other than
Gonna try and TP.
away. And he should get out. Yep, there you go. So they got his TP again, just this time in a different way.
That is big, though. There is a TP for Showmaker. Shields is slowly becoming available. If you have double TP, the sideline pressure that DK can go for is kind of crazy. Showmaker can also really easily rotate over to ensure that he is part of a play. Doran, yeah, still level 14 has been hit. That's something.
He's able to catch the wave. He's trying to hit 15. He's
Hasn't
pretty
given out
close.
his upgrade yet.
Yeah.
Would like to see that be done.
Maybe when he groups up, you know, when they feel like they have to fight, which might just be in 2 minutes, because this has been a very risk-averse game.
Probably Faker? Faker first?
Yeah.
He's the sole AP
That's
source.
a good idea.
Makes the most sense.
Otherwise, I mean...
It's not Jin. I
you
know
going for
that.
the collector, or what are we doing here?
Giving it to Oner is fun. There you go.
I mean,
Does make the most sense.
yeah, but not over Faker. I guess Oner is at least the one guy who's decently
He's
fed.
big. Yeah,
so.
yeah, that will make sense. But
enough.
again, the itemization for DK, I think, is not really leaning too much either way, honestly.
Yeah, they're on the fence, which is also not down to earth or up in the air. It's kind of in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that down to earth you can just combine with a lot of the other things. Because on the fence and up in the air are actually, they're pretty close in meaning.
Well, in figurative meaning, but not
Again,
literal meaning.
Not literally. We're talking
Which is what I'm talking about.
Okay, but if we're talking literally, there's no... It's so obvious. There's no conversation to
I mean, down to earth and like on the ground, that could literally be the same.
Well, yeah, but that's just not interesting. What's the point of talking about it?
I'm just saying, that's it.
Well, I know that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. Yeah.
When locations are the same, they are the same.
I was just pointing out that, you know, up in the air and down to earth are very different.
No, that's fair.
Before,
They are
that's how this all
places.
started.
Faker?
just, okay. Little disengage cone.
Getting a little feisty for Grump there.
Yeah.
Gonna be in any trouble as Doran has a level 15. Upgrade has come through for Oner, and are we trading Soul Point for Baron, which is what T1 won, or are we flipping the game on another fight?
I'd say a trade is more likely in
3
this
items
game set
for Guma,
state.
by the way. All Void for a Showmaker, that's huge.
Doggos.
That's a big bleed between the Serpent's Fang and
Yeah, look at his health on the
finished
right.
items. Like, that's a lot of damage. He's also a full level behind.
Little turret comes up here. T1 trying to control the area. It will be able to.
Ooh, tension, Valdez. The range for T1, we talked about it earlier. You can see it in action here. Sums available for basically everyone.
Yeah, T1, just go Baron. Just say,
They're
okay,
going. Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, they're going.
either you fight us on Baron, or we'll take it. Because they do have a lot of damage with the Azir, with the Nefiri.
Or with the bluff.
Yeah.
But T1 have a ward on Dragon, so they know there's not an individual member doing Drake, and
Yeah.
no one on DK is really that good at soloing it, except aiming, but he can't really walk over.
Yeah, but DK, they know that T1 aren't going to take the risk of starting it at this point in time.
There's so much AoE damage is the problem. If you're in the pit and you get toasted, or Showmaker gets on top of you,
Or maybe they will
you
just
up
start
as
it.
well.
Oh, okay. Well, they started it and then they didn't. So they're trying to turn onto a Leona. Not the best idea, but Beryl does get extremely low. As now Doran also not the target here. Getting onto that back line as Zeus disappears. The damage was insane. As he just gets crit down. Beryl also in trouble here. Amy taking a bunch of damage as now the engage comes in from Keria, and Oner is going insane mode on this back line. Incredible play from Oner in that fight. And DK, they tried to call the bluff and they got stomped down.
Shiu thinks he's tanky, and with these items, it makes a little bit of sense, but instead he just gets one-tapped. I think it was Guma with the auto, and the fight starts off because I think it was aiming, getting a really big Q on multiple members. And it's again the flank. There's no way Lucid can actually do this, right? Yeah, I was about to say, he just doesn't have the damage. So that's going to be Baron. Off of an amazing team fight here for T1. And we take another look. So the fight starts, right? Look at Beryl, take some damage. Big Q there means that Keria, Guma, and Faker look a little bit low, but then here Shiu just not ready. Look at that fourth shot. The bleed from Oner plus the fourth shot.
Yeah.
He doesn't get his ultimate off, and that's something that they really needed, and now they're in a really awkward position. Keria finds the engage. Aiming this time around doesn't get the flash off. Had it available, if he flashes out, I think the fight's still cooked, but maybe it was playable. The only upside for DK is that they do not give the Dragon yet, but I don't think they can actually fight this, right? They're just gonna watch it be taken, and DK looks like T1 fighting just a little bit too much. T1 just biding their time. Still has less kills, by the way, than DK do.
Well, just throwing in a Pop Blossom just to try to survive, but he's going to die anyway. Nice little pick from DK. Going to take out the Nico, and Beryl doesn't get rooted either. Big seismic goes in! As all of a sudden, yeah, he goes in. I'm not sure about that one. Oner just avoids the Impale. And it's a trade. Now, I feel like this is still good for DK, even though the end of that was rough. They did take out one of the guys that had Baron and stop the push.
He'll take it.
Now we're fighting. We're looking for Guma. He's in a bit of trouble, but he does flash away. He does an incredible amount of damage at this point in time. And sticking around is DK. They're committing.
DK?
They're committing to this one, but now the Jhin is opened up. But the Jhin is low. They're trying to just run at the Jhin. It's not exactly working either. Okay, they do take him down. Siu, though, going 1v2 on the top side. Eventually, he does die, but Oner trying to go 1v3. He takes out one, and the dogs are soaking up so much damage, but Showmaker just trade it back. And now, it's kind of an even fight. Doran has to frontline. The TP! Oh, Keria does come over, and that'll be the end of that. As both of them get taken down, and T1 win the fight eventually.
I think that's good for DK.
Yeah.
Because for that whole sequence, not a turn was taken.
Yeah.
Definitely feels a little questionable. So it starts with the pick and carry. This is clean. This is great gameplay. Beryl ensures, locks down, takes the cone over. An action cone. You know, otherwise you definitely would have gone for that. Knowing Beryl.
Yeah.
And when the re-engage comes through, Lucid doesn't hit the mark. Oner, again, has been just completely going crazy. And then here, they try to hard force. They get Guma's flash, and then because he's Jhin and he's just so fast, he runs away. They're still frontline here for T1, so obviously they go for the fight. It's more so just the sheer insanity of DK to be like, if we trade even relatively evenly, which they end up doing a decent job of, worth. You know, they don't get too much value from their Baron. The only thing I do want to mention is I think they really traded down in summoner spells because Showmaker used the TP there. They used a lot of really high value flashes. And DK or T1 still got a lead off of it, but it means that without inhibs being taken, still think T1's favored. I think DK are gonna have to fight an
Close game though.
uphill battle. But this is a banger, Vel.
This is good. This is what we wanted.
Yeah.
We expected a bit more from our first series, but now maybe it's leaked over into our second series, which we also expected a lot from. Today is a good day to be an LCK fan.
Void Staff now for Shiu as well. I'm no longer worried about Doran surviving. Their itemization has been very on point. And as mentioned, I think that since the changes, Lethality Vera's late game is actually disgusting. Like, you do so much damage if you hit a squishy.
Yeah.
He will have to, because they are outranged outside of that. And now T1, full ornaments across the board.
The damage dealt definitely tells the story that you were trying to say, that you were trying to tell. Just gonna ult aiming
they're
here.
falling for it.
And they're going pretty deep for the Varus as the ult comes in and aiming goes incredibly low, does get taken out, but now Oner is so deep behind enemy lines. This ult back on a barrel, but still does go down. But they took out Showmaker amongst the chaos, and this is a great opportunity for T1 to potentially end the game. Shiu gets taken down by Faker, and that'll be the end. A double kill as Faker does dive the turret. And now they're looking for, they don't quite have the wave, but they're clearing it, and I think the death timers at 35 minutes should be long enough.
They will be. Doran on a tank, Guma on Jin. The T1 going to get themselves a big win here in this series, and great one to start, a back and forth here. T1 though, once they got control, once that fight came through, once Shiu ended up dying, didn't really ever feel like T1 was gonna relent.